Manchester United 3, Southampton 0. The Red Devils got all the 3 points with an unspectacular but professional performance against Southampton. In this video, I am going to show you the fascinating tactical battle that has been unfolding before our eyes. Without any further ado, let's analyze. Alright, so let's get started with this tactical analysis video. Now, of course, I like to structure my videos in a way that shows you the good and the bad, and in a way that shows you the problems as well as the solutions. So here, let's outline the problem. The problem that Manchester United faced against Southampton is, of course, that Southampton were very compact, very narrow. In fact, they played a sort of a 4-3-1-2 kind of formation. They also switched to a 3-5-2 at different stages in the game. But the main principle that they approached this game with is, of course, compactness and being narrow and restricting space through the middle. The logic behind that, especially when you play Manchester United, is that our danger man, our talisman is Bruno Fernandes. If you cut that supply to Bruno Fernandes, the truth of the matter, the sad truth, is that Manchester United are toothless, okay? And so a lot of teams try to do that against us, and Southampton have actually done that well for the first 30 minutes. So here, let's start with the bad, okay? So in this sequence, as you can see, a lot of Southampton players through the middle. Also Mazraoui, you know, slotting in into this the middle of the pitch, you know, traditional inverted wing back kind of role right here. But I'm not sure that this was the right tactical choice by Erik Ten Hag. And as you can see, we don't really have much room to actually play through the middle, so we have to go on the wings. But here you can see the next problem, which is these players, Amad Diallo, Kobbie Mainoo and Mazraoui, are kind of in a linear position. And you don't want to be positioned, you know, in a straight line because you need to create a zigzag type of patterns whenever you play football, because you want to create as many triangles as possible. That helps with ball retention because you provide more passing lanes to each player. Here, that wasn't the case, okay? And so obviously this is not good positioning from the Manchester United players. And here also bad positioning from Bruno Fernandes, whose off the ball movements is actually one of his strengths. He's positioned here. He actually should be further wide to allow this, or to make this midfielder follow him, therefore opening up this passing lane for Amad Diallo so he can find Christian Eriksen. But of course this didn't happen, and so we had no choice but to go back to Onana. And so of course for the first 30 minutes, where Southampton were clearly the better side, we simply failed to play through their compact block. However, this is an example of a situation where we actually handled that situation much better. So here Lisandro Martinez goes wide. As you can see, between Dalot and Mainoo, there's a triangle that's actually much cleaner, much better. And then here, Dalot is able to find Bruno Fernandes. Why is that? Is because Downs over here was actually dragged wide by Christian Eriksen. This actually mirrors the situation that we had earlier with Bruno Fernandes up there. Christian Eriksen, with his movement, he allows Dalot to actually find Bruno Fernandes right here, and then he can make a run into space where Bruno Fernandes can find him. And then with this, we can create penetration and verticality, which allows us to beat the press, but also to create chances. The sad truth, though, is that Manchester United for the first 30 minutes, we did not do that enough. Southampton, on the other hand, were actually much better at it than us. For example, in this sequence, as you can see, the Manchester United players, again, compact and narrow. So Southampton players have to find a solution, and they do. Here, I really like this sequence. I included it. Similar sequences have happened like 4 or 5 times, but this one is one of my favorites. As you can see, the Southampton players are lined up in a diamond formation, so that's literally a double triangle kind of formation. And here Sugawara is making a third man run, and that's actually one of the most underrated moves in football. So as you can see, quickly they can find him, and here Rashford is out and all of our midfield is bypassed, okay? And Southampton were actually able to find a lot of these situations where they can play through the wings and not through the middle. And by using these kind of patterns of play, here's another example. As you can see, 6 Manchester United players, just clogging in that midfield position. But Southampton are, of course, going to find a way around it. And this way they go wide and they go direct, obviously, with this player over here, where De Ligt and Christian Eriksen are unsure who is supposed to mark him. And that's why Southampton, for the first 30 minutes of the game, they looked like the better side, and we were on the back foot, because they were always able to find ways to play through the wings, to bypass that compactness that we have and cause us all kinds of problems, right? And we were unable to do it to them with any type of consistency, okay? And then you might say, well, Mr. Scarlet Report, okay, all of this is good, it's insightful, etc. But how did this actually affect the result of the game? Well, the 2 pivotal moments in the game, the turning point, has been the Southampton penalty that was saved by Onana, and of course the De Ligt goal, which came immediately after. Because that was actually the moment where you could just feel the energy and the enthusiasm and the confidence just sucked out of Southampton. The whole stadium was quiet, that's it. And from that point on, there was only one outcome out of this matchup, and it was a Manchester United win. So now let's look at how did they actually get the penalty, because both their penalty as well as the De Ligt goal came from patterns of playing on the wings rather than through the middle. So here, as we can see, this is just poor from Manchester United. Look at this, 7 Manchester United in, the 25% of the pitch's width. That's simply unacceptable. And that's due to the Southampton players being narrow, moving as a unit, keeping the ball in that area. It just drags all of the Manchester United players towards them. Now Sugawara is free. Remember the sequence, because Manchester United in the second half mirrored this exact sequence with Mazraoui instead of Sugawara. So here he gets it, and then of course he's got a lot of space, and then we find ourselves in this situation where Dalot has a 1v1 situation. He lost the duel, and then they got a penalty. Diogo Dalot has to take Onana out to dinner. And Onana, big game players. This was a big moment, and I'll tell you why. Had we conceded that penalty, had Onana not saved the penalty, I am not sure whether we would have gotten anything out of this game. Probably the best we could have hoped for is a draw, maybe 1-1, okay? Why? Because we're not the most confident outfit out there. We lost to Brighton and to Liverpool. Southampton would have felt that. Had they scored that goal, galvanized with their supporters, I don't think our players had it in them to kind of, make up the difference and just rally and fight back. So it was really important for Onana to make that save, and he did it, okay? Now, they, of course, got that penalty through wing play. Now, how did we get our De Ligt goal? The opening goal, which happens immediately after that, also through wing play. So here this sequence is actually similar to the one that I showed you earlier. Again, as you see, the Southampton players focused mainly on the middle area, making sure that Mazraoui and Christian Eriksen don't have much space. But the true danger is here with Diogo Dalot. So Lisandro Martinez goes wide towards Diogo Dalot. And then again, as you see, a triangle pattern as I've showed you earlier. But here Diogo Dalot makes a good decision. He dribbles past the player. Why? Because this allows him to have 2 better options in Marcus Rashford and Xerxes. By the way, Xerxes, I'm not going to talk about him in this video. I think his performance deserves a video of its own. If you want me to make a video on Xerxes' performance against Southampton, please let me know in the comment section below. But anyway, Xerxes, who loves to drop deep, puts us now in a situation where we have 4 attackers running at 4 Southampton defenders. As you can see, their midfield structure is completely compromised because we go through the wind. Through the wings, right? If you remember my video analysis against Brighton, I showed you how they had a clear pattern of play where they went from Van Eyck to Veltman, the right back, and then Veltman who played to the middle towards Joao Pedro or Welbeck, who then ran at our defenders, literally bypassing our 6 midfielders and forwards. And that's the same thing we did here to Southampton, because when the opposition play compact, don't go through the middle. You don't play to the opposition's strength. If you remember during the FA Cup final against Manchester City, we did the same thing to them. But Pep Guardiola's solution was to introduce Doku, a wide player, a player who loves to hug the touchline, in order to isolate Aaron Wan-Bissaka, because that was the only way Manchester City could create any chances. And so it's the same thing here in this game. Both teams, Manchester United and Southampton, are playing narrow, so both teams have to go wide. And this game really illustrates the importance of wing play, okay? But anyway, this is going to lead to some beautiful patterns of play here between Rashford and Xerxes. And then, of course, this man right here, I'm really happy. Like every time I see him on the pitch, I'm really happy. And then that save gave us a corner that, of course, ended up resulting in the De Ligt goal. So, of course, both teams, Southampton had an opportunity to score through the penalty because of wing play. Manchester United scored that De Ligt goal because of wing play. And of course, right after that, Rashford also scored his goal. I think they were 4 minutes apart, which meant that that's it. There was only one outcome out of the game. But there's also another reason. In the second half, I mean, Manchester United just started playing exclusively on the wings. Let's look at what Kobbie Mainoo is doing here. So obviously he's going to make a decision on his movement. And now he's decided, instead of coming into this area, trying to collect the ball in the middle of the pitch, as any defensive midfielder does, no, he actually goes on the wing. And the reason for that is actually very simple. He's trying to drag the Southampton players out of position. Now, I don't know whether this has always been the plan. And Erik Ten Hag, there's been a couple of clips of him and Ruud van Nistelrooy, looking at the iPads or looking unsatisfied. Maybe that was the plan, but the players were not executing it. So they were looking at what they could tell the players during halftime. Maybe the players' off-the-ball movement, maybe their positioning was a little off. Or was it a case of we just stumbled upon it? The plan was always to play through the middle, but then Erik Ten Hag, midway through the game, midway through the first half probably, realized, hey, actually playing on the wings is actually much more effective. Let's do that. Because in the second half, we played exclusively on the wings. Here, Kobbie Mainoo, his ability to hold up the ball. You can see Christian Eriksen is also making a move towards the wing. And then, of course, Xerxes coming in deeper, dragging... well, who's that? I think that's Stevens or Bednarek, probably Stevens, okay? All right? And then what happens now is this. They find themselves in a similar situation than the one we found ourselves in the first half. You remember the Sugawara sequence that has led to Southampton getting a penalty? Same thing here. 7 Southampton players in the 25% of the width of the pitch. And here Mazraoui is just asking for the ball. Mazraoui, by the way, in the second half, he played like Gary Neville. Just a classic fullback that hugs the touchline, just providing width. And that's extremely important. And here, of course, Dalot is going to find him in space. That's a beautiful pass right there. And then that's it. And then now Mazraoui and Diallo can actually run at the Southampton defense. And of course, this happened throughout the second half. And this is why Southampton could not exert any type of control over the game, because that's it. We got them figured out. Alright, so this particular game is a great demonstration on the importance of wing play. In an age where everyone is trying to cut inside, wingers are inverted, so are fullbacks. Well, sometimes, in some situations like these, when teams play in a compact way, narrow way, to try to starve your most creative central midfielders out of receiving the ball, then you have to go the opposite way. And that's exactly what Erik Ten Hag and Manchester United have done in this game. And that's how we were able to create situations where we have a little more space and where we can actually create chances and score goals, as well as provide us with the opportunity to actually control the proceedings of this game. So anyway, guys, I hope that you've enjoyed this tactical analysis video. If you did, please give this video the thumbs up. It matters a lot. And leave a comment in the comment section below, sharing your thoughts on the game. Until next time, cheers.